Hey, so in this video we're going to be building about a $600 Ryzen build. And I just wanted to say something before we get into it. So right now we're using a 1500X. The reason we're using this is just because I got it cheap. I got it for about $100. But if you're wanting to build something similar to this, you could build quite a bit better system, because right now on Amazon we have the 1600 Ryzen CPU or the 2600 that are roughly about the same price. So if we look on Amazon right now, we can see that the 1600, the Ryzen 5 1600 is about the same price as a 1500X. And if you spend about $35 more, you can get a 2600. So that'll give you 6 cores as opposed to 4 cores. So that's something I would recommend if you're doing this sort of build. We're also going with a GPU that I had from a project. If you're building this, try and get like a 1060 on the cheap. They're pretty cheap. And we're also using a ITX board, so that raises the cost just a little bit as well. So just keep that in mind. You can actually build a pretty decent system, especially with a Ryzen CPU. And this isn't the best example of that. I didn't notice before when I reviewed this case, but take a look at this. There's gotta be like 5 different screws in here. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but there, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's 4 different screws in here. It's like, why do I need so many different kinds of screws? Usually you have your big heads for the PCI Express, and then you have the smaller ones to screw in the motherboard, and that's it. Why do we need so many different kinds of screws? So we just got done with cable management, and it turned out pretty good actually. It was kind of a pain in the butt, but I think it worked out pretty well. Hopefully you can see it there pretty good. I ended up just tying everything down to the bottom of the case. I was originally going to just tie everything to the side of the motherboard, like one long strip of cables, but it didn't really work out that way. But actually I wanted to show you something else with the fan here. So you see those cables there? I don't know if you can tell, but they're soldered really shittily. Like, I modified GPUs and my soldering would look like better than this. And this is like an actual production fan. I don't know about the quality of those solder joints. Looks like some of those wires don't even have solder completely over them. They're just kind of attached to this LED strip. It's almost as if they just cut this LED strip, glued it to the brim of the fan, and then soldered wires onto it, kind of haphazardly. And I still don't know how to actually plug this thing in. It's just 2 pins, 12 volt and ground, or maybe it's a signal and ground. I'm not entirely sure, but it's not a very common plug, and I have no idea actually what to do with this LED here. So we may or may not have LEDs in this build. We'll put the side panels on and show you what it looks like turned on, and we'll have some benchmarks in a little bit. But basically I just wanted to reiterate, if you're gonna build something like this, go for 6 cores, like a 1060, because it'll cost you about the same amount of money, maybe a few dollars more than 600. I mean, this was barely 600, but I used some parts that I had around. So like say 650, you get a 6 core, you get a 1080. Did I just say 1080? 1060. Throw it in a build like this, it'd be serving you much better off. You can save money by not going ITX, but go like regular ATX or MATX. Those boards are much cheaper. So while this isn't the best example, this is a fairly okay example.